Hello and welcome. Once again, we are live with the Modern Mystery School UK and EU YouTube channel and podcast. Yes, it's been a while, but we are back, and I can't think of anything better to talk about on our, after programs than Healers Academy. And welcome, Katie. How are you?
Hello, hi everyone. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Hope you're all well too.
Well, I am so excited because you have just done Healers Academy in London with us. And, I know your story, your journey, if you like, to get to Healers Academy. And I just thought it would be amazing for people out there that might be, in the same boat or feeling in the same way to hear your experience. And, first of all, Katie, how did you end up finding the life activation? What would drive you to have the life activation? If you could give us a bit of background to you and, how that went.
So I was actually thinking about this the other day. And it's something that came up for me on Healers so when I received my life activation, I was at a really stagnant point in my life. Career-wise, I wasn't where I wanted to be, and also it just wasn't going anywhere. Like, salary was terrible, so that was one thing, but I was just seeing no progression there. My relationships, I think I was experiencing more mothballs than butterflies. So that was happening. And my physical health was actually rapidly deteriorating. I have a history of chronic illness. I got Lyme disease as a child. It wasn't picked up until I was 30. But I also have lupus and quite a rare condition called MCAS as well. I experienced a major health crash in my early 20s, but again at 28. I'm 34 now. And with that second health crash, things got quite scary. We'll put it at that. But when it came to the life activation, I'd kind of been told medically there was nothing anyone could do. I would have to be experiencing organ failure before I'd get any sort of medical intervention. But yeah, the whole, I've got a lot of fight in me. And I kind of started teaching yoga in my mid-20s. So I guess I was quite open to this energy field sort of thing. And let me tell you, I've tried everything. I've done the Western modalities. I've done I did years of therapy, CBT, talking therapy. But I also looked to like Eastern practices as well. So the shamanic healings, Reiki, sound healing, all of which did do something, and they're amazing modalities in themselves. And I think like doing the therapy and stuff opened me up to the concept of limiting beliefs, but nothing really changed. And then I was actually working with Anna's husband. Anna's the practitioner that gave me my life activation, and he told me about it. And it was one of those funny things. If I'd never gotten sick, I never would have met Michael, which is Anna's husband. So I never would have found out about life activations. So it's kind of like there was a lot of things that kind of led up to me to this coming into my life. And then, yeah, and basically Michael told me about it, introduced me to Anna. I had a chat with her, and it was a case of I was skeptical. Like, my family background and stuff, not spiritual. Quite the reverse. So this was like, I was like, okay, life activation. Okay, all right. So I did have that resistance initially, but then the biggest thing I asked myself, well, you come this far, what do you have to lose? And so I went, and I received my life activation. And for me, it was extremely profound. I know everyone's very different. Everyone experiences very, very different things. For me, it was a very visual experience. I saw a lot of visions. I saw parts of myself heal in ways that I'll give you one example. When I was 21, when I first started developing lupus symptoms, I was in extreme pain. I had extreme fatigue. And it was kind of like I saw this abyss open at my solar plexus, like at the very core of me. I understand that's okay. I was very depressed. But even with healing and stuff, every day I was aware of this abyss that was at the center of me. And when I had my life activation, it's like I saw it close. It was like, it gives me goosebumps to think about it now, but it's like this abyss closed and it's never come back, not once. Even when I've been in like a bad way, that hurt was healed. I mean, it was very physical. I did go quite faint. We had to stop and have a bit of recovery, and then I was able to continue. But that was like, I saw all this other stuff to do with like my childhood and healing and things. So again, like, I am a very visual person, so for me, I experienced it that way, and that's what I needed to see. And afterwards I was a bit like, oh my god, what have I just done? What happened here? I just knew it was big. But again, I was still skeptical. Like I said, I've still got that very like practical kind of background. And I went home and I was like, okay, I've done something now. But the weeks that followed, some things I changed radically, because at the time I'd moved back home. I was like, no, I need to go live in Spain for a bit. And I did have the opportunity to, but I'd always kind of put it off, or I'd never thought that I could do it. I didn't think I was enough. Do you know what I mean? So there were all these like narratives going on. So I did that. By 6 months later, I changed my job. I went for a dream job that I had a snowball's chance in hell of getting. Got it. Working there now. Amazing. Love it. But I think I just stopped accepting less, which sounds like such a small thing, but it's intellectual. The biggest thing I can say is intellectually knowing something and feeling knowing something. Two very, very different things, because I intellectually knew all of these things. Could I make it work? No.
It's just tremendous. And I think it's so important, that point at the end is, just to, unless you've experienced it for yourself and had that direct experience, that's what we always say. It's like, I can tell you my story, you can tell your story, but it's when you have it and you experience, it's real, and nobody can take that away.
Yeah. But even with with my medical situation, like, bear in mind, so in 2018, I was told there was nothing anyone could do, and I was forced into a state of limbo for a long time. After my life activation, and it was a huge change in my mentality, I started attracting things to me, to the point where like I was told there was no medication I could take, there was no form that would help me, and then I found it. And like, say what you want, believe what you want, but I've seen too much to believe in coincidence. I've lived through too much to believe in those coincidences. And like, I would say it doesn't just come to you, but it's like you get the building blocks to know what to do. Especially like and I've noticed that more in the last weeks after finishing Healers. It's kind of like these puzzle pieces were there, and now I've stepped back, I can see a bigger picture.
Yeah. So tell us about Healers Academy, because obviously I'm guessing, you receiving the life activation was one of the main driving points, to go to Healers, that you could be able to do this for other people. But also, we know in Healers Academy, it's very much about healing ourselves. It's always, it's receiving. So, you've already mentioned that, your physical body may not be exactly where you want it to be, and going into something like Healers Academy can seem quite scary. So could you talk us through that, decision? Yeah, I'm going to go to Healers Academy. Then what was it like? And then, talk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, of course. So it wasn't an easy decision by any. Oh, then it was the easiest decision. So I had massive resistance leading up to. But I mean, after my life activation, I was still very like, no. But then, I mean, 'cause the other thing that happened with my life activation, which probably kept me going back, was I've never been able to set energetic boundaries with people, like emotional boundaries with people. I've got very high empathy rating. So I'd be around people, they would drain me. I would have to go to sleep because it would knock my health problems out. If you know anything about lupus, fatigue is a huge issue. And it would just take a small thing to knock me out. After my life activation, that stopped happening, which, like, not since I was a child has that happened. So I was aware something energetically had shifted. And then Anna messaged me about Empower Thyself, which is obviously the next step up. And I was like, absolutely not. No, come on. I'm not going to do this. But the seed was planted. And like I said, as time went on, I was seeing more and more changes in myself and just my unconscious behavior that was just happening. So it came to there was a payment plan I could do, so I could afford it around my my work. And I was like, do you know what? Again, what have you got to lose? And obviously you receive a lot more light with Empower Thyself. So I went, I did that, and I'm not going to lie, it was mind-boggling. There were a few massive concepts there that I was like, sorry, what trolls? And it did, it pushed me, and it challenged me. And yeah, it challenged like concepts that I had that I was relying on that were holding me back. Like one of the, I think I spoke to you about it, the concept of past lives. And that's probably like, again, if you don't like have any experience with a yoga background, you'll be aware of the reincarnation. But then this challenged that. And it's the first time I've probably realized, oh no, this is it. This is my physical life. I need to make the most of it. Whereas I had kind of been relying on my body's so sick in this life, maybe I could come back and it'll be fine. But that means I was holding myself back in this life. So that in itself was a huge like tie that I had that was holding me back. And then I was a bit like, after Empower Thyself, because I was actually really unwell during the course. I was really struggling physically. My MCAS was really flaring up. But I did it. I got through it, and then I received the light. I had the initiation, and it was just like this weight lifted. It was massive. And as many changes as I saw after the life activation, that doubled with Empower Thyself. That's really when like I started to understand again that bigger picture, where I could start quantifying the experience that I had and move out of a victim mentality and into actually, maybe I've been given these challenges for a reason. And again, this all sounds, maybe if you haven't experienced chronic health or not, it might sound small, but this is such a fundamental mind shift change that added to my life and gave me a reason to let go of a huge burden. Like, I've been sick since I was a kid, so you grow up different, you just do. And then, but then again, after Empower Thyself, I was like, no, I'm done. This is it. I don't need to do, I don't need to do anymore. Like, that's it. Like, that done. And then a couple of months later, I think, Kate, you messaged me about healers coming up. And still at Christmas, like I actually had a massive health crisis at Christmas this year. Meds that I had gone on, my body started really reacting to, and I had to come off them, which was absolutely devastating, extremely traumatic. And I thought that was it. That was kind of like my hope gone. I was going to go back to I was experiencing quite a severe, I was quite disabled with the fatigue and the pain. And it just kind of felt like I lost everything again. And then it changed. It changed. I got back on other meds. I was doing my rituals and things that you do get taught throughout this process. And things started coming to me. And I think it was January, about healers coming up. And up until that point, I had been like, no, I'm not going any further. No, I'm done. I've empowered myself.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
no, I'm not going any further. I'm done now. And then I had a conversation with Davina Kate and also Anna, who's always been like very supportive of this process. And it's not something I could quantify. I just knew I had to do it. And I kind of told myself, if I could get the money together, if that worked out, because I'm not in a position I couldn't take on debt. I thought if I could work out the money, then that's universe being like, go. And it worked. It happened, and it happened like that. And it was, I was just like, okay, there wasn't a single doubt or question in my mind. It was like, okay, not only do you need to do this, you need to do this now. And I don't have a single regret for that at all.
So what was it like going into that Healers Academy? Just take us back, because it's different, isn't it? I mean, what were the teachers like? What was the room like? What were the people like? Can you give us a bit of like, okay, walking in, give us a little bit of like, yes.
Give you the vibe.
Take us there.
Okay. So I really actively tried to go into this without any sort of expectation or preconception. I understood that obviously you receive 10 times more light at the end of it. I didn't realize it was going to be as practical as it was. Because obviously Empower Thyself, it's more kind of like talky. You get handed down a lot of keys. It's more of a conversation. And also I wasn't going into it being like, I'm going to be a healer after this. That wasn't. It was more like I felt like this was something I fundamentally had to do for my own personal and spiritual development. That's kind of like the mentality I went into it with. I hadn't even really had clocked on to the fact that I would be able to help people too after this. That wasn't something. Yeah, I just hadn't really, because that's an amazing thing. That's the best thing. But yeah, so I kind of rocked up on the Saturday morning. Okay, let's see how this is going to go. And right away, it's just such a sacred space. And I'd had so many changes in the last few months, even around like my meditations and being able to ask for things for myself, which again sounds silly, but my self-worth was so low that I just hadn't had that connection to be like, no, you deserve everything because you are everything, And also I was always apologizing to my higher self, being like, I'm so sorry for bothering you right now. Whereas that's like, no, you love a chat with me, come on. But with healers, it was magical. And you go into this space, and I think one of the most amazing things for me throughout the whole process was how everyone changed throughout, because the guides that we have, you go in and they look like ethereal beings. It's like, these people are glowing. What are you taking? Honestly, tell me your skincare routine. How is that happening? And obviously it's like the light within and the process and everything, but everyone's like a little bit nervous. You sat down, you don't really know what to expect, and it's a complete mixed bag. Like, you've got people from all over the world, which is that's an incredible experience. But everyone there, you have something in common with everyone there, because you're all there for the same reason. Whatever your background is, whatever your ethnicity is, your ability, disability, health status, it kind of all falls away, because it's a supportive, safe place. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong experience. You had, again, I'm a very visual person. I'm also a very energetically sensitive person. So for me to slip into that space, it's not a challenge. I felt things right away. But you have people that can't feel anything at all. But then as they get it, it's just such a shared, but it's incredible. And like I said, it's just such a safe, supportive space. But it's kind of like, when it's been like a long winter and then the flowers start coming out. It's a bit like that. And by the end of the week, you're all blooming. And I'm not going to lie, it's extremely confronting and it's challenging, because you're dealing with huge energy. On my second day, I had half a breakdown, but in the best possible way. I cleared a huge energy block that I had to do with my childhood, my illness, and it was just such a big thing to let go of. I was in floods of tears for half of the day, but that was fine. And I was supported in that, and I was safe in that. You just don't know. You don't know what you're going to come up against, because you're shifting huge blockages, but it's not through someone doing anything to you. It's where you're giving so much light to someone else. And when you give that much light, it clears things that aren't serving you anymore. That was what I found.
Yeah, it's the secret, isn't it? It's through service. that we truly heal, we truly know ourselves as divine beings. I mean, there is
Exactly.
no other way. Doesn't matter what path you choose. You can choose any path to the top of the mountain. They all say the same thing. It's through service, you know.
Well, and I have to say, I wasn't expecting that, because I've touched on it a bit when I teach yoga, because obviously it is a form of service, but you're still a performer when you teach. This, you have to get out of the way entirely. And I can honestly say I've never operated from my heart, like my heart space, my heart chakra. That was an extremely profound moment for me, because I felt it as I was like giving a life activation. And it was just so fully about the person in front of me. I was completely out of the way. I was just a vessel. But you can't do this without operating from a space of love. But that's a phrase I would never have been able to say before. Same way I would never have been able to say I am a divine being without being like, you know, whereas by day 2, like, I do a morning yoga practice every day. I was like I kind of settled myself, and I just really identified with being like my own divinity.
So obviously you were not going to be a healer, and that wasn't your plan. You've since left Healers Academy. Have you done any life activations for anybody?
In about 10.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's completely. Well, and I will say the other thing that's been amazing is like the support that like I've had from yourself, and also like my practitioner. I've not felt on my own in this whole process, especially coming out of it, because you do come out of it just a bit like, oh my God. But I had huge clarity coming out. It's like there's things that I've been putting off for a long time in my life, because I wasn't good enough, I wasn't healthy enough, I wasn't well enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't strong enough, I was never enough. And then I finished this and I was like, bitch, please. Sorry. But it was like, and I'm making steps to like do my Bikram exam. Again, I thought I was too quiet, or I wasn't vivacious enough, or all of this stuff. And it's like, absolutely not. You'd be a fantastic Bikram teacher. Go and do it now. And it's just, and even because my day job's quite different to like an energy space, but I just have so much more innate I've never had this sort of innate confidence in myself. Like, I was bullied quite badly as a child. I had all of this stuff going on that stopped me from, I started hiding my magic. And my mum said this to me the other day. She was just like, you've got your magic back. I haven't seen you like this since you were a child. And even like a conversation with my sister I had shortly afterwards, she was just like, Kate, it's like you've stopped apologizing for existing. I've never seen you like this. I don't remember you being like this.
Oh my goodness, that's massive.
No, it's huge. It's, yeah.
Huge.
But like, I've had such a drive to give this to other people because it's had such a profound effect on my life. It's just like, I want to share this gift, and I think it's come to me so I can share it. And I think I'm being pointed in a direction to have a platform so that I can do so. But can you even hear the way I'm speaking? I'm speaking with complete innate confidence. This is something I have never had.
Yeah, it is truly amazing. And that's the reason why I wanted everyone to hear this, you know, from you, directly from you, and what it means to you, what it means to your family, what it means to, you know, everything. I mean, you know, okay, we might not get why going to Healers Academy or why life activation works. It's beyond logical, I know.
Yeah.
But it works.
Know. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, can I say what you get in Healers, or should I keep that a secret? You receive a gift. You receive a gift.
Oh yes, you do. That's amazing.
And I was aware that I was going to receive a gift. I didn't know what it was going to be, but my higher self had told me, you will receive a gift and it will change everything. And it does.
I've got goosebumps now.
Yeah, well, when I heard a word when I received mine, and I was aware of a sensation, and that was to surrender. So, and that's something I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of fight in me. So the idea of, or the whole concept of surrendering felt like giving up. But now the idea of that concept's completely changed, because it's not, it's in fighting so much, I was resisting. And now I'm just not. And any time that I've hit a bit of resistance, I've gone back to my higher self. I've had conversations, and it's just been like, you know what, bring it back. And there's just so much stuff that's happened in the last few weeks, even, that's, any time that I get skeptical, or like I stop believing, or I'm like, oh no, this is a load of absolute baloney, what are you doing, go back to your desk job, something happens, and it's magical. And it's even, can I tell you about the life activation I gave the other day with my flatmate? Yeah. So my flatmate is Italian. I'm incredibly English and embarrassed in all factors, because I have not got a single word of another language in me. And maybe like a bit of schoolgirl French, but it's patchy at best. And I gave a life activation to my flatmate, and I was having a bit of a skeptical day, and I was also very unwell that day. This is like one of the other amazing things about life activations. They will come to you when you need them. And I've never, even at healers, I was extremely unwell halfway through. I had a massive lupus flare come up. I was on my walking stick because it was very physically difficult. I could deliver a life activation and be absolutely fine, which was a huge question mark for me, because you can't teach yoga if you're on a walking stick. You know, there's so many things that you can't do. This I could do. And same with my flatmate the other day. She said, oh, you know, I'm ready, could you do it? And I was like, oh god, but physically but then I was like, no, they come to you when you need them. And I gave her life activation, which was incredible. I got so much, like I saw so much from her. But it came, you do a reading on someone's energy at the end, you remember, from your life activation. And I was going through it, and I saw things that I couldn't possibly know. But the biggest thing for me, I heard a word, and it was like familiar, but I couldn't quite get the pronunciation right, because it didn't sound like my English self wanted to be familiar. And I was like, familiar. I was saying the Italian word for family. And then it got to the end of it, and she turned around and she was like, what? Do you know you were speaking Italian to me? And I was like, sorry, what? But I mean, for me, again, that's, you can't quantify that. You can't add logic to that. I can't project that onto you, because I was fully out of the way. And this is what she needed to hear. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about my interpretation of her. So I couldn't have been making that up. So anytime you want proof, trust me, you will get proof.
Oh, Katie, thank you so much. It's coming up to our half an hour, and it whizzes by so quickly. But I'm going to ask you now, whilst we're online, if we'll have another chat, because I know there's so much more that we can, that we can talk about. And thank you so much for being so generous with your, sharing and open, because I know that's going to inspire so many others out there. And if you are in, what area are you in, Katie? So people can come and see you for the life activation if they're nearby.
I'm in London. I'm in Southwest. But you can also, if you do have any, like, if there's anyone out there with like chronic health issues that might have had like a very physically complicated journey, and you have any questions, just get in touch with Kate. I'm like more than happy to have like a personal conversation on that front, because like I said, it was a physical challenge, but honestly, it was worth every minute. So I'm happy, like, if anyone does want to have a chat, always.
Great. That's amazing. I know people will be taking you up on that. So thank you so much. And we will see you very soon back on the show. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed hearing about all that magic. I mean, it's just fabulous. So thank you, Katie.
It's the best word for it. Wow and magic.
Oh, good night. Good night, everyone.